We're just really glad you joined us today for this month's webinar. The webinar is called Apps to Tap in 2023. Today's webinar is going to last about an hour, and there's several points during our training where we're going to give you a chance to ask questions or comment, but just some housekeeping so that all of this can be as smooth as possible. We have a number of attendees this month, so everybody's going to be muted until the question and answer section. And if you have a question or a comment, please raise your virtual hand so your name goes to the top of the list. If you're using Zoom on a PC, you need to make sure you're focused on the Zoom window, and you can press Alt-Y when you're in the Zoom window to raise your hand. If you've dialed in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *9 to lower your hand. This will, again, make it easier for our moderator to see you at the top of the list and call on you. Our moderator today is the amazing Elena. She's doing multiple things today, and we just thank her so much for being here. This webinar today is brought to you by the Lighthouse for the Blind Incorporated. Our organization is headquartered in Seattle. There's a number of different lighthouses around the country. Ours is the one in Seattle, and we have manufacturing facilities in the headquarters in Seattle, in Spokane, in Summerville, South Carolina, and we also have service business and base supply center locations in a number of other locations around the country. So our mission is to empower people who are blind, deafblind, and blind with other disabilities by creating diverse, sustainable, and meaningful employment opportunities. And we provide a wide variety of support services to our employees. We're also currently hiring, so scope out some of our open positions at lhblind.org/jobs. The webinar today is one of several exciting things that we're going to be doing as part of some new programs we're going to be launching over the next few years. So stay tuned and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about that. And please do share any of this information that you find today or about our webinars to anybody who you think might be interested. So we're going to do some introductions now, just of the hosts. I'm Tim Paulding. I'm one of your hosts, and I manage our computer training programs and our Braille literacy programs at our Spokane location, and actually manage those services across our organization and all of our locations. I've been in the blindness rehabilitation field for just about 15 years now. 10 of those have been at the Lighthouse, and I've taught both assistive technology and orientation and mobility for most of that time. I also happen to be blind and live with my amazing family of 5 kids and my wife in Spokane Valley, so the suburbs just outside of Spokane. And I'm going to hand it over to Everett.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So my name's Everett Elam. I am the computer and assistive technology instructor here at the Spokane Lighthouse for the Blind. So I teach people everything from using VoiceOver and Zoom on iPhone to JAWS and Fusion on the PC. I've worked in the assistive technology arena for about 8 years now. I've been everywhere from St. Louis to Arkansas, studied in another country for a little while. So I've been a little bit everywhere. I'm super happy to be here in this webinar today.
All right, everybody. So today we'll be exploring some apps and some resources that will hopefully help you recharge your physical, financial, and emotional best selves for the new year. We're going to be demonstrating a couple apps, and we also have 2 special guests that we'll be speaking with today. Tyler Merren, 4-time Paralympian and creator of the Revision Fitness app, and Chris Peterson, personal finance expert of Penny Forward. And so just a note before we get started, everything we and our 2 panelists discussed today in our webinar is for informational use only. So just want to be really clear that Lighthouse does not promote or endorse these apps or services or individuals, nor do we receive any compensation related to these apps or services. Really, our sole purpose here today for you guys is to provide you with information and resources that will help you make an informed choice in any of these areas that you wish to explore further. So first up is an app called Revision Fitness, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce this app's creator. His name is Tyler Merren. And so, Tyler, I really want to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about your story and the reasons behind why you chose to create this app. And really, what is it?
Yeah, for sure. Tim, I super appreciate you reaching out to me and having me join this. So, yeah, a little bit of a backstory on me, and I'll kind of get into what the program is and who it's for and all of that. So, as Tim mentioned, I'm a four-time Paralympic athlete. I'm a motivational speaker, personal trainer. I own Revision Training LLC. My wife and kids and I live in Greenville, Michigan, and definitely keep ourselves busy. I travel a lot. I compete for the U.S. Paralympic team in the sport of goalball. So that's the four-time Paralympic experience, was in the sport of goalball. And so, I spent a good portion of my life in elite level sports. I've always been a sports guy. I've been super active. Born with retinitis pigmentosa, grew up in a family of athletes, and as my vision started to decline, my passion for being physically fit and active never really waned. I started picking up adaptive sports, and that's where I learned goalball right around the age of 15, and kind of took off with that. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I decided to kind of build my career around that. I went to Western Michigan University, got my bachelor's degree in exercise science, and became a personal trainer. I worked as a master trainer for 24 Hour Fitness in South Florida for a number of years. So about a decade plus now, I've been a personal trainer. And this idea for the Revision Fitness program kind of spun out a little slowly over the years, and really it comes down to two main things. So my wife, who is also blind, she's very plugged in, right? She's on a lot of social media platforms, in a lot of groups, and I would come home from work at the fitness center, and hey, so and so was on this group, and they're asking about fitness, and you should really get on there and help them and teach them how to do fitness when you're blind. You've done this your whole life. You should share that. And my typical response is I just trained people for 10 hours. I'm not interested in training anybody else.
Yeah.
But but I knew the need was out there, and I knew the need myself, right? I had busted my butt working through all my classes and learning the anatomy, the physiology, the biomechanics, learning the exercises and how the body works and what it's supposed to do. And there was one particular event that kind of sealed this. So I've been working as a trainer. I was an assistant fitness manager in South Florida for a while. And of the 8,000 members of this gym, there was 4 or 5 people who were blind. And so I'm hanging out at the front desk one day, waiting for one of my clients to come in, and somebody approached the front desk, and I kind of heard that distinctive tap of the cane. And I was like, oh, cool, strike up a conversation. I kind of knew who was coming in. And so I talked to this young lady. She's a young mother, just moved to the area. She'd been coming to the gym for a little while, and pretty consistent. She just, she knew how to use the treadmill, knew where it was. That's what she'd used. And she kind of had this dour mood, on this day. And so I'm talking to her, and hey, what's up? Why so glum? And she said, well, I've been coming in for a while, and I've been really consistent, and my weight was dropping. I felt really good. And now it's just kind of stalled out. Right. And I don't know what to do. And I says, well, I'm a personal trainer here. Let's talk about it a little bit. Do you do anything else? Do you do some of the machines? Do you take any classes? Do any strength training or stretching or anything? She said, well, I don't really know how to do that stuff. And so I talked to her a little bit about it, and Unfortunately, I couldn't set my own prices at the gym. They're all set by the corporate office,
Mhm.
and she couldn't afford my rates. And this happened a lot. There was a lot of people I worked with, hundreds of clients I worked with. There was a lot of people that said, "Hey, I'm just going to try this on my own. I can't really afford this." Well, the problem though here was that all of those other people, they could go up into the gym, they could look around and be like, okay, that person's doing that. They could sit down on the machine and look at the picture and say, okay, here's where my arms and legs go. This is what I'm supposed to do. They could pull up a YouTube video. They could jump into one of the classes and just follow the instructor. This young lady, she didn't have those options, right? She just didn't have the same resources, and it didn't sit well with me at all. I rolled this around in my mind for days on end. I'm just like, man, this isn't cool that she just doesn't have any help. And that was the tipping point. I said, you know what, I got to do something about this. And so over the next couple of years, I, metaphorically speaking, put pen to paper and started like, okay, how would I do this? And went through several designs, went to a developer, put together a lot of notes, and spun out the Revision Fitness app, which is an audio-based fitness app designed by me to be totally accessible for the blind, encompassing all fitness levels and my 10 years experience as a personal trainer. So that's pretty much the background on how it came to be.
And yeah, and I can tell just by the brief review of the app that I did, and I know Everett can speak to that too, is that it is designed with accessibility from the ground up. So Elena, let's roll the clip of that app. So here's a demonstration of that app, everybody. Scope it out with VoiceOver on an iPhone. All right, everybody, scoping out the Revision Fitness app. First thing I'd like to say about this app is that it really appears that it was created with accessibility in mind and simplicity and ease of use from the ground up, really from its very fundamentals. It's super easy to navigate. The only gestures really that I'm using today are VoiceOver gestures, swiping left, swiping right, and double tapping, and then just dragging my finger. It's super intuitive. Again, all the buttons are labeled. There's no unlabeled graphics or anything like that, or any weird ads to try to navigate out of, or pop-ups. So when you open the app, the first screen we're placed on is the dashboard, and that's where Tyler looks like he kind of engages some of the folks that use the app. Let's check out one of those.
As we keep stepping with this January Step Challenge, I'm super impressed to see how well everyone is doing, and I'm glad to see that it is helping to motivate many of us to do better and to become more.
So really some encouragement. People like the different posts. They can comment, and yeah, it's just really helpful, it looks like, to folks who use this app. Let's check out the next tab, which is the Classroom.
Selected. Classroom. Tab. Selected. Classroom.
And really in the Classroom, there's just a lot of different descriptions of the different exercises that go into the fitness studio and the fitness plans and different stuff like that. So it's kind of where you learn all the fundamental movements of your body. And Tyler has really taken some time to describe all of these movements. Let's look at one of these.
Plank. Reverse. Target area.
Okay, so this is the plank exercise, and you can either read a text description or listen to an audio description of it. We're just going to do the text here. I'm going to double tap.
Plank. Reverse. Exercise purpose, to isometrically strengthen the full posterior chain of the body, especially in the glutes and hamstrings. This less than common back and buttock strengthening exercise is a more advanced version of a hip bridge, and challenges both the posterior core strength and the arms and shoulders. To get into the starting position, let's sit on the floor on a firm but padded surface, such as a carpeted floor or a hard surface with a yoga mat. Using the clock face for orientation, imagine that you are sitting.
I mean, really good instructions, clock face, different positions that he really describes in detail, so that, for users who are non-visual, you don't have to be able to see a video in order to participate in this. And then the other tab I'd like to check out is the
Exercise
fitness,
purpose.
Fitness Studio. So I'm going to go back.
Back. Button. Back.
And then drag my finger down to the bottom to the next tab.
Fitness Studio. Tab.
Fitness
3 of 5.
Studio.
Button. Selected. Fitness Studio.
So this is your really typical fitness studio with music in the background, and he's encouraging and timing the exercises and talking about how many repetitions. There's just a lot to it here. Let's look at one of these.
Deep core isotonic, AMRAP session. As many repetitions as possible strength.
And then I'm going to swipe through and we'll find one here.
Cardio up, AMRAP full body workout session. As many repetitions as possible.
All right, cardio up. Let's double tap on that.
Cardio up, AMRAP full description.
There's some descriptions here, and we're just going to go straight to his video.
Studio session workouts.
They're actually audio descriptions. Excuse me, they're audio files.
Cardio up, AMRAP 6 round beginner 16 minutes. Button.
All right, let's do this one.
Cardio up, AMRAP 6 round. Revision fitness. Back. Button.
Revision fitness.
Let's change the way we look at it.
Welcome into the Cardio Up AMRAP, as many reps as possible, beginner portion. Now, by this point, you should be all warmed up. You should have checked out the exercises that you need to do, and also have something ready to write down your numbers, or if you're real good at keeping them in your head, that's fine too. AMRAPs are all about improving each time you do it. So count the number of reps you do for each exercise, write it down so that the next time you get in this workout, you can challenge yourself to do a few extra. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. First thing we've got is our lateral steps. We've got 2 minutes per exercise with a 30-second break in the middle, and we are going to go, go, go. Get yourselves ready, have some space, and let's go ahead and begin in 3, 2, 1, and go. Step left, step right, step left, step right. 2, 3. All right, so here's my pace. I'm not gonna count too much. I'm not gonna.
So
cardiovascular / body weight work
really gives encouragement, and let me pause this here.
Forward, backward, pause, button, play.
There's tons of exercises like that. And so, yeah, hopefully this gives you a good idea of what this app is all about. There's just tons of content, super accessible, really easy to use. So, Tyler, please correct anything I misspoke about the app at all. I just kind of briefly was able to move through it. I noticed maybe you could just talk just the next couple minutes, and then we got to move on. About the fitness plans. I saw that. I was like, oh wow, that's a whole nother layer.
Yeah, for sure. No, you pretty much got it. The classroom is like, I say, like, if the classroom is the ingredients, the fitness studio is your cookware, the fitness plans is the recipe, right? The fitness plans is like, how do we put all of this together, right? There's just a couple of basic plans in there right now just to kind of get people started. The app has been out for, I think it's been a little over 9 months now. So lots more material that will be coming along. But yeah, the fitness plans will run you through, like, okay, if you're just getting started, here's some of the workouts you can put together in this fashion, depending on what your goal is. So yeah, a lot of material in there that can be really helpful for people.
So I think, Tyler,
do you mind if I add one thing?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So Tyler, one of the cool things I noticed whenever I was looking at this app is that for our deafblind population, this will be important. You've added the option so that you don't have to have the music while you're doing the workout.
Yep, exactly.
Which is super cool.
I tried to consider the deafblind population as much as I could throughout the design of this, which is why most everything, there's a text-based option, and yeah, being able to toggle the background music on and off. Multiple reasons. That was the primary one, though, is if you're hard of hearing and you want to hear the instruction a little bit better, you can turn that off and make it a little easier.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So, hey, before we open it up for questions, everybody, just FYI, remember, raise your hand if you have a question and our moderator can call on you. I wanted to just ask Tyler one last question here. Exercise can be really daunting for anybody, especially somebody with a visual impairment, as you well know, is why you created the app. But is there any encouragement, any advice you would leave people with to help them get started?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing, and this is advice that I give to anybody regardless, but especially folks who are visually impaired, is that you have to think about the long game, right? The big picture. And there's nothing wrong with having short-term goals. I want to lose a little bit of weight. I want to, improve my performance, whatever that might be. That's okay. But thinking about exercise long-term is really important. And one of the things I try to strongly encourage is to understand that fitness and exercise, it's a skill, right? Like, I think so many people shy away from doing new exercises or learning fitness or getting more active because they're like, what if I do it wrong? Or like, there's almost like this level of like shame, like, oh man, I should know how to do this, but I don't. If I handed you a harmonica and said, hey, play me this harmonica, and you're like, well, I don't know how to play the harmonica, you wouldn't be like ashamed by that. It's just right. it's a skill that you haven't learned yet. Exercise is the same thing, right? If you're really new to it, don't feel ashamed about that. Just understand it's a thing to learn. And the way that I built the app is, if you're already into fitness and you know what you're doing, you can jump into a pretty advanced fitness studio and go for it. But if you're not, there's a lot of lessons that are just going to teach you the basic movements and give you, I would just encourage you to take time to learn about your body, learn these postures, learn new exercises, and be kind to yourself as you go through that process.
Awesome. All right, Elena, do we have any questions for Tyler for this section?
All right, it looks like we have one from Dawn. I am going to unmute you now, Dawn.
So very quickly, while Elena's doing that, Alt-Y on a desktop will raise your hand, Command-Y on a Mac. *9, we've got a touch tone person in there. If you might want to ask a question, *9 will raise your hand from a touch tone phone or an iPhone. If you're
okay, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm sorry. So anyway, I got a couple things. First of all, I'm one of those people that's kind of new to it, and sadly I kind of do have I do have quite a lot of shame. And second, are there any yoga type things in there? And then third, how much does this thing cost? Because here's the problem. I don't really have any money to really afford any of this. And that's the kind of the big thing is these apps are great, but a lot of the times they don't have, they either have free tiers that are very limited or they don't have free tiers. And I'm just wondering, and if anything, is there kind of a way to kind of get into a beta test program with you guys or something?
No, it's a super good question. So let me address, first of all, don't be ashamed. We all learn, right? This is a learning process. Second, yes, there is yoga material built into it. I've actually got a couple new yoga workouts that I'm going to be putting out pretty soon. And then other like strength training material. So yeah, there's definitely some yoga in there. And then third, so the cost. So when you sign up, you can download the app for free. You can sign up for free. You get a 2-week free trial that gives you access to everything in the program. And then after that, if you like the app, you want to continue with it, you can opt into one of two options, either a monthly subscription, auto renewable monthly subscription of $5.99, or an annual of $59.99. And I kept the prices as low as I could while still writing out my business plan and being able to like support the program and write new code and all of those things. And just to put that into context, $60 for an entire year's access to this program. There's no tiers. There's no like upper level, lower level. It's just, monthly or annual subscription. $60 when I was doing full-time one-on-one training would get you 50 minutes with me. And in this case, it gets you an entire year's worth of access to all of our lessons, all of our workouts, all of our fitness plans, which is still growing, by the way, as well. So new material being added to it constantly. So
I got to add, it's insanely reasonably priced.
I appreciate that. And I tried to keep it because access was the key. Like as you mentioned, Tim, I built this from the ground up saying like, this has to be accessible. Buttons have to be labeled, directions have to be good. And I do know that access financially can be really tricky for the blind community sometimes. And so I really capped it down. I even had people come to me saying like, dude, you could definitely charge more for this. It's like, well, I'm not going to, because I want people to use it. That's the idea. So, so yeah, there it is. And those are the numbers. If you're within the US, the numbers can get a little wonky if you're outside the States, but yeah, there it is for the US.
Awesome. Well, great. But I think we had somebody else who had a hand raised.
Yes, our next person is Vinny. Vinny, you are unmuted.
Hey, Vinny, how's it going, man? All right. Well, Vinny, we're not hearing you, man. Are you there? Okay, I think we're gonna move on. Maybe you can ask the question a little bit later once we sort some things out here. She did unmute you. Everett, let's move on, man. Over to you, sir.
All right, age-old question. Are you able to hear me?
No.
Perfect. So the next part of the webinar is going to deal with personal finance. This is an area I've struggled with during my 20s, especially with so much money coming in when I was in college with the FAFSA, and oh, I just want to go crazy and buy as many pizzas as I can, but unfortunately man doth not live on pizza alone. Our next presenter is going to be Chris Peterson. He is the president and CEO of Penny Forward, pennyforward.com. We're going to start with a 20-second introduction from his podcast, which is available on Apple Music and iTunes and all the other podcastables. Elena, if you could run that beautiful footage.
Welcome to the Penny Forward podcast. Penny Forward is a community of people who are blind, their families, and friends who share an interest in financial independence. Join us now as we meet people like us who are working towards their own success.
Perfect. So, Chris, are you ready to tell us about Penny Forward?
Yeah, sure.
So tell us what the impetus was for starting this amazing thing you've got going on here.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm totally blind, and I grew up in public school, and I have a sister who's blind as well. I got a degree in computer science after a little bit of hemming and hawing in my late teens and early 20s about what I wanted to do when I grew up. At one point, I was planning to go into broadcasting school till I found out how much I could get paid as a broadcaster. Spoiler alert, not very much. So I got a computer science degree, and I worked as a software developer for 20 years. And while I was doing that, I learned how to manage my own finances kind of on my own. Nobody ever really told me how. There was a lot of paperwork I couldn't read, and I kind of just ignored some of it. That caused me to make some mistakes, and I would try things, and sometimes they would work out, and sometimes I would learn from them that hey, that's not how you do this. And over time, some of my friends started to ask me questions about managing their money, like, hey, how do you do this? You've bought a house before. What is this going to be like? How can I do this as a blind person? Or I want to learn how to use my credit card, or open a bank account, or am I going to be able to get on and use my mobile banking app accessibly or not? Should I be worried about that? Lots of different kinds of questions. And then, of course, the age-old question we all have: what do I do about my Social Security benefits? So in 2019, I started to get tired of software development and wanted to kind of switch careers and was thinking about becoming a financial planner. And the company that I interviewed with was very excited about that and said, yeah, blind people are a really good niche for financial planning because there's not a lot of blind financial planners and there's not a lot of financial planners that are serving blind people. And I said, well, yeah, let me think about that. And then, just kind of Dawn brought this up. I kind of thought to myself, well, yeah, but there's a lot of blind people that don't have a lot of money and they don't need wealth planning necessarily. They don't need retirement planning. Some do, lots of us do. But lots of us need more basic information, like how to find a job. What's it going to be like if I do find a job and I'm going to transition off of my benefits? What happens if the job doesn't work out? What's it like to move into my first apartment or my first home, or to move from subsidized housing into non-subsidized housing? What happens if I get married, if I have kids, all these different things. So instead of becoming a financial planner, I founded Penny Forward. It's a nonprofit organization. We're building financial literacy education programs online that are accessible to blind people, as well as in-person programs. We currently offer self-paced online courses. Each course covers a basic financial literacy topic in easy to understand language, and it's been built from the ground up to be accessible to the blind and deafblind communities. We also offer, as a part of your membership, weekly members-only group chats. They're held online via Zoom, and they give you an opportunity to interact with your peers and ask questions and kind of go beyond the course material. And finally, for those who need it, we offer access to one-on-one financial counseling. And we're doing this in a kind of a unique way. We're working with the Association for Financial Counseling and Planning Education, or AFCPE, to take the accredited financial counselor certification. There's 3 of us, all 3 of us are blind, that are working on that certification. And we're doing it to become accredited financial counselors, but we're also providing feedback to the AFCPE so that they can make their program entirely accessible so that more blind people can enter into the financial counseling field in the future. So we not only want to help people, with their finances where they are now, but we also want to find ways to help people improve their finances through employment if that's something that they're interested in. We like Tyler's app. We don't have an app, but we do have a website. And we do offer a subscription. It costs $9 a month or $99 a year. And when you sign up for it, you get access to the online courses, the members-only group chats, a weekly newsletter, access to one-on-one coaching or counseling, whatever you want to call it, and other membership perks as well. And I do want to mention, since Everett played the beginning of one of our podcasts, we do offer some free stuff. Pennyforward.com has a number of blog posts about financial literacy related topics. We're constantly creating new material there. And we've also been producing the Penny Forward podcast for the last 2 years. We're in our 3rd year now. And that's also free. But if you sign up for a membership, you get early access to the Penny Forward podcast, meaning that you get to listen to each episode a week before it comes out for the public. So that's kind of the impetus behind the program and a little bit about what the program offers.
Can you tell us one example from the podcast of someone who you interviewed who made an impact on you or the rest of Penny Forward?
Oh, yeah. Every guest has been impactful in their own way. And what I've found is that, people people are sometimes ashamed, as Tyler pointed out, because they don't know how to exercise. I think there's a similar kind of shame that we can feel about not knowing how to manage our money, or not being employed, or not knowing how we're going to navigate specific situations gracefully, or as gracefully as sighted people. So one of the people that was most inspirational to me, that we interviewed on the Penny Forward podcast last year, was Bruce Horak. Bruce is a blind actor and artist, and he was also in a recurring role in the first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus last year. He played the chief engineer, Hemmer, who was a blind character, and the first blind person to play a character on a Star Trek series.
Yeah, and then they killed him off, man.
They did. That was pretty sad.
Bummed.
But Bruce was very cool, and you know, it's hard to tie that to making money, right? But one of the things that Bruce said is, you know, you got to go out there as an artist. Doesn't matter whether you're blind or not. There's a lot of people that are going to love what you do. There's a lot more people that are not going to love what you do, and you've got to work.
Mm-hmm.
And as you work, you get better at it, and you also get better at finding the people that love what you do. So I would say he was probably my favorite guest.
So that the point I was trying to drive home is that these podcasts are not financial seminars that is available from Penny Forward, but they are way off the beaten path blind people who are doing amazing things. So hopefully that's good for the interview. Tim, do we need to open it up for Q&As?
Yeah, let's do a brief Q&A.
So,
Anybody have their hands raised?
To chat, Alt-Y to raise your hand, *9 if you're on a touch tone phone.
And while we're waiting for people to raise their hands, I want to point out that for attendees here today, and this expires on February 28th, I've created a coupon code if you want to sign up at pennyforward.com. Just go to the website, find the Join Penny Forward link. If you sign up for a yearly subscription and you use the coupon code Lighthouse 2023, you will get 25% off of your first year. So a normal yearly subscription would be $99 per year. You'll get it for $74.25 for the first year. That's only applies to the yearly membership, and it expires on February 28th. And I hope you'll give me the chance to give out that coupon code later on again, so that people, if they missed it, can write it down.
Yeah, and there's just tons of content on that website of yours, man. I was perusing it earlier today. Do we have any questions, Elena?
I don't see any.
All right.
So again, that's the pennyforward.com, and we go to the join link and we enter Lighthouse 2023. Is that right?
That is correct.
Can we put that in the chat?
Putting it in the chat. All right. Well, we're gonna move on. If anybody wasn't able to raise their hand, we have another Q&A at the end. Thank you so much, Chris. Really good stuff there, man. So the next app we're just going to talk about really briefly and then move on to our final one. So it's called Better Help, and it's actually an app for iOS, and I think they have an Android app too, where you can connect with a licensed therapist. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about it, and then Everett and I both have a little experience with it. So they match you with a personalized and qualified therapist. The process goes like this. You sign up for the app, you fill out a pretty extensive questionnaire right on your mobile device there, and then this therapist reaches out to you, and then you begin communicating with them, and then your mental health counseling or therapy begins. So my experience with this so far, I wasn't actually able to get through, and just because of the subscription, I wasn't able to make that purchase. But all the aspects of the app that I experience, and then Everett can kind of share a little bit of his experience too. But it was a really extensive questionnaire, and every aspect of that questionnaire on the app was accessible. I was able to select several items on the questionnaire about anxiety, depression, talk about what kind of counseling that I preferred, if I have religious preferences, anything like that. All of it was accessible. It was really actually a number of questions, but it was pretty quick the way they had designed it. And then throughout the week, when you actually connect with a therapist, you can video or audio message them. And then you have weekly live sessions scheduled between 30 and 45 minutes. And you can kind of set up those appointments with them. So the participants of this service have the ability to switch therapists at any time for any reason. They really believe strongly that that match is really important, and you can cancel at any time for any reason. So when I signed up, it quoted me at $80 a week, billed monthly, except for they applied a coupon code right at that time, so it was $72 a week. It's also available for health savings accounts through employers. And if you can't afford it, there's a financial aid application. And then this is what I found out. I didn't register fully, but they did get my email, and I filled out the questionnaire and stuff like that. They actually sent me an email a week later and said, we're going to even save you more. So I think it went down to like $50 a week or $55 a week for the first month. And really, I'd like to turn it over to Everett here about he actually has experience using this app and working with this app. So the piece where you could communicate with your counselors, what was all that accessibility wise?
I would equivocate it to Blackboard or Canvas circa 2021. I mean, it's, if you've been through school or a university course, you've kind of got your therapist tab, your notes where your therapist can leave you notes. And I used BetterHelp as well. I was a paid subscriber before I moved to Spokane because moving in life is stressful.
Oh yeah.
And the best advice I got in college was go find a shrink, you need help. So I've worked with a number of I've shrank a number of times during life, and I was
Me
doing
too.
so last year. It is a beautiful interface. Everything is accessible. Voiceover hints are built in. So if you stop and you're on a button and you're not sure what that button is, voiceover will say double tap to contact your therapist, et cetera, et cetera. I was pretty particular about my therapist, and I switched a couple of times, and my therapist contacted me within 48 hours. So the app was super accessible. I would try it again. I was in some financial hardship at that point, so I believe I got like a $52 a month, and I had the same experience as Tim, where I just sent them information about myself and requested that financial help.
So $52 a month?
I believe so. I would need to go back and check, but it was crazy low.
And some of the prices they've quoted for your traditional therapy in offices are anywhere, between 100 and 150 an hour, or 175 an hour is what they bill out to. So, and you don't have to go anywhere.
Profiles of the therapists online as you're looking. You're not just put with a therapist. You're given their credentials and everything about them, and then you pick your top three, and then you are matched with the one that they can find.
And they really made sure to mention too, like they're all licensed therapists. So there's a number of services out there like Ginger, where they're kind of emotional coaches or life coaches, and these ones are actually university trained, certified, and licensed in their state. And then did you message or video chat with your therapist throughout the week, or did you just do the weekly sessions?
I did weekly sessions. So unfortunately, no, I didn't do video chat. I would do one evening session with a therapist, and then they would send me homework, and I would do the homework. So like, read a letter to your past self, etc. And I didn't have any issues with that.
Yeah, and everybody, again, we're just providing this information is informational only, but this app we found to be fully accessible in a way that you don't have to leave your home, and you can get some qualified people to help you with anything that might be going on emotionally or mentally. Any further thoughts on that, Everett?
No, I think we've covered it pretty good.
So the final app we're going to cover is called Calm, and I really liked reviewing this app and checking it out and just doing a little video clip on it. So that the app is really you can practice. So this is an app that has all kinds of audio files on it, lots of different stuff to go through, where you can practice mindfulness and learn the skill of meditation. They describe it as helping you to take a mental break and tackle everyday stresses like anxiety, lack of sleep, and really tackle some productivity stuff too that you might be experiencing. When it first came out, it won Apple's App of the Year and several other awards from other organizations. So on this app, there's tons of content. I mean, tons. And so there's guided meditations for all levels, anywhere from a 3-minute meditation to 25-minute guided meditation. There's sleep stories to help kind of relax you, breathing programs, stretching exercises, relaxing music, and soundscapes. And again, there's all kinds of different levels here of the different stuff you can listen to and move through. And Elena, if you'll pull up that clip, we can kind of review the app, and you guys will notice that when the app starts, you actually get this kind of soundscape in the background that automatically starts. And I was actually pretty relaxed when I was reviewing the app, so it's pretty cool. All right, everyone, we're going to review the Calm app here just really briefly. From what I can tell here in looking at this app, a lot of it is really accessible. I haven't run across anything that's inaccessible just yet, no unlabeled buttons or anything. And there's just tons of content on here. All I'm using during this little review here are just basic voiceover gestures, swiping left, right, double tapping, and then dragging my finger around the screen to find a few things. So there's only 3 tabs along the bottom, a pretty standard app. And the first tab is the home tab, and that's where we're at now. So I'm going to just swipe left and right, and it gives you some suggestions really to start out with. So let's swipe to the left.
Calm logo. Good afternoon, Timothy.
Good afternoon.
How are you feeling? Button. You did it. Keep it up. Heading. Mindfulness for beginners. Day 1, the big idea. Course 10 minutes. Overcome stress and anxiety.
And looks like there's a number of things to choose from
Daily
here.
Contribution. Meditation 10 minutes. Button. Calming anxiety. A breathing meditation to help relieve feelings of anxiety and tension. Meditation. Button.
Let's try that one.
Go back. Button. Calming anxiety.
And I'm just swiping to the right here.
Favorite. Button. Tamar Levitt. Head of mindfulness at Calm. A breathing meditation to help relieve feelings of anxiety and tension.
All right.
3 minutes. Button.
Let's try it. Let's try the 3-minute one.
Session begins in ellipsis.
Okay, it's going to begin soon.
Welcome to
Go
this
back. Button.
3-minute meditation for calming anxiety. Start by finding a position that's comfortable with a straight back and rest your hands gently in your lap. Close your eyes and begin to relax. As you become still, bring your attention to the breath. Follow the breath all the way in and all the way back out. As you draw in your breath, watch each inhale turn into an exhale. Then follow the exhale as it releases. With each breath you take, allow your body to feel more and more at ease. Relax into this time, this place, this moment.
Awesome. Let's scope out some of the other
Fast forward by
content
15
that they
seconds.
have
Pause.
here.
Button.
I'm going to pause that.
Pause.
And again, I'm just
Play.
swiping
Fast forward by 15.
around. So I'm going to go back.
Go back button. Go back.
And let's look at, there's another tab called the Discover tab where there's just, again, you guys, tons of content. I haven't even explored probably half of it.
Tab bar. Discover. Tab.
So,
Discover. Heading.
and I'm just at the top of the screen. Went to the Discover tab and now I'm swiping to the right.
Title. Narrator. Artist. Or top. New and noteworthy. Heading.
You can search and here's some suggestions, new and noteworthy.
New and noteworthy. See all. Button. Songs for cozy mornings. Album Novo and more. Button.
So music, soundscapes, there's bedtime stories actually to kind of calm you down in the evening.
Captain Dreambird and the Drowsy Dunes. Sleep Story Captain Dreambird. Button. A Woodland Stroll to Sleep. Meditation Professor. Extreme Sleeps. Glacier. Sleep Story Nimmy Marge. Hot Springs.
And
Soundscape.
let's
Button.
check out.
A hot spring with steam rising from it.
Ooh, this is a soundscape. I really like these. So let's double tap and we'll kind of hear this one.
Discover. Heading.
So you can kind of put this on your headphones and just relax. And let's look at one more.
Discover. Heading. Title. Narrate. New and noteworthy. Heading. New and Captain. Extreme
I'm
Sleeps.
swiping
Glacier.
through here.
Sleep Story. Peaceful Sleep. Meditation Melma. Button. Possible adult content. 8. Nighttime wind down. Playlist curated by Com. Button. 2
Okay.
glasses of beverages on it.
Let's check out one of their playlists here for nighttime wind down.
Go back. Button. Nighttime wind down. Favorite. But curated by Com. Play. Button.
All right, let's check it out.
Play. Pause. Button.
So really, you guys, just tons of info in here, very accessible, easy to navigate. There's all the buttons are labeled and just. And that was it. Yeah, Tim, I clipped that video just a little bit too short. Hey, yeah, so $69.99 a year. You might be able to dig up a coupon code somewhere on that. So a little more pricey, but just tons of content on there. I actually got to, I was listening to one of the bedtime stories. It's actually really good. So these are real authors, professional narrators, and meditation coaches. And it's just a really good resource. And the reason we talk about it today is because it's super accessible to people who are blind or visually impaired. So hey, let's open it up for the final Q&A. And I also wanted to mention, we've got about 5 minutes left. Wanted to mention before anybody else got off the call here that Chris at pennyforward.com has offered a coupon code of Lighthouse 2023 to save 25%. The yearly membership is $99.99, and the 25% will bring it down to about $75 on his page of tons of financial education and just all kinds of great stuff. So raise your hand if you have any more questions. I think all of our panelists are still here.
Still here.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we have a question from Dawn. Dawn, you are unmuted now.
Okay. Okay, so I have a couple questions about BetterHelp, and excuse me if I'm a little nervous, but yeah. So first of all, well, this is kind of an area for me that's kind of personal, but I'm willing to go into it for this. But so first of all, do you have to be diagnosed with something? Because while I haven't been diagnosed with something, it wouldn't surprise me if I got diagnosed with something traumatic stress related, especially after a family member of mine had a medical emergency and I had to find them. And that was not a very nice thing. And so now every time she drops something, I go back to that morning and I kind of freak out. So
yeah, Dawn, no, you can sign up for this service and talk to a licensed therapist about anything. You don't have to have any sort of diagnosis. Yep.
Okay. The other two things are so if you don't have any money / insurance, if you don't have anything, do you still qualify for aid? And also, do you have to can you do phone calls with your therapist, even if it's in the app? Do you have to have your camera on? Because I'm not big on having my camera on.
You
Because
do not have to have your video camera on.
Okay.
You can have
Okay.
it your
So,
way.
so the other thing too, so you say the therapist gives you homework. Well, okay, say they decide to give you worksheets. How accessible are those worksheets going to be? I don't know any of this, and excuse me, but like, if I have questions about this stuff, can I contact you ever? Because I'm a little overwhelmed right now.
That's okay.
Absolutely. So the worksheets for me were super accessible. Obviously, that's a user question. You are more than welcome to ask me questions within Lighthouse business hours, and I'm happy to get back to you. And Tim can give out my contact information at the end of this webinar.
Okay.
So you're saying that the homework that they provided, Everett, was accessible to you?
Yes, it was an edit field with a worksheet link. You click the link, read the instructions, and then you put your information in the edit field.
And you did it all on the phone?
I did some of it on the phone and some of it on the computer.
Okay. Sweet.
Okay, so I could do some of it on my braille display and some of it on my phone if I wanted to.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
You could, and you're not going to get penalized if you don't do your homework.
Yeah, they're not going to boot you out for that.
Okay.
Good deal, Don. Do we have anybody else with any other questions?
Right. So it looks like we have a phone call in, 206 number, and you are unmuted now.
Hey there. Somebody called in on the phone from a 206 area code. You're unmuted. Do you have a question?
Okay. Oh, it looks
Sorry.
like. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for the great opportunity. I do have a question.
It's Nelson. What's up, man?
It is Nelson.
Glad you're here, sir. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. Glad to hear your voice.
For the last application that we have discussed, what you call it, I just wanted to kind of ask, that $66 or that fee, is that annual for the whole year?
So yeah, that's the only option that it gave me was the annual subscription. Some
Okay,
can,
that's
you know,
cool.
you could do by the week, but that one didn't offer that.
All right. And
But scope it out. Maybe
yeah,
I missed
so
something. You should check it out because I might have missed something.
yeah, cool. Well, thank you. That's what I wanted to ask for.
Well, thanks for asking your question, Nelson. And do we have any other questions?
It looks like we have one more from Carla. Carla, you are unmuted if you want to unmute yourself.
Hello? Can you hear
Carla.
me?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, well, okay, so I heard that the Penny Forward is a website-based program, but for the other two apps, the exercise one and the Calm, are they only for iOS?
Yeah,
Tim,
so-
this is Tyler. I
Yes.
can for Revision, the Revision Fitness program.
Yes.
It's iOS, Android, and the web. So we have it on all those platforms. So yeah, you can find it on the App Store or Google Play by just searching Revision Fitness. Or you can go to revisionfitnessapp.com. And once you have an account, your account will give you access on any of those platforms. So like if you want to jump back and forth between your computer or your phone, one account gives you access on all those platforms.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess we're not sure about the Calm one, that it might
Actually,
only be...
yeah. I just looked it up. I'm so iOS centric. I'm sorry. They do have an Android app that you can find in the Google Play Store. Yes, they do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions? It's about a couple minutes after 5, so we're going to be quitting here pretty soon, but
All right, it looks like we have one from Richard and Noel. You guys are unmuted. And if you could unmute yourselves.
While they are doing that, I was scoping my bank account, and the fee that I paid was $144 a month, which is still, if you break that down by week, very good for a therapist. So apologies for that. But
So like $40 a week. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and that was with full-on financial aid.
Okay.
See, can you catch me now?
Yes, we hear you now, sir.
Basically, I had a real quick question. I didn't take the best notes when I was taking notes for myself. And I wondered, are you gonna put it out on the web or somewhere for?
Yeah. Yes. So scope this out. This whole webinar thing, man, I actually already wrote the email that automatically gets sent out 24 hours from now. And I put links to all the apps and services that we talked about. So Revision Fitness, Penny Forward, Calm, and the BetterHelp app. I put all App Store links on there. And there's also a couple of links in that email to a recording of this webinar and then past webinars that we've done on our YouTube page. And of course, a link to the Lighthouse for the Blind main page where you can scope out our programs and services and all kinds of different stuff that we offer.
Well, great. Thanks a lot.
You got it. Well, thanks for attending, and thanks for attending to everybody else. If you want to share this webinar, it'll be available on our YouTube page in probably a day or two, and then you'll get the automated email when we send it out. Please take the survey. Would really help us. This is only our third webinar here, so we want to get as much information as we can from you on what worked, what didn't, topics that you would suggest for us to do in the future. And so actually, if you're on a computer and you close this meeting, it'll take you right to that web page or the email that's sent out in about 24 hours. So thanks so much to our panelists, for everybody for joining us. This has been a great webinar, really informative. And we do a webinar once a month at the Lighthouse. So please look for, you're on our mailing list now. So please look for that announcement in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Happy New Year.